You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Well, hello, and welcome to the luxury 5-star Radio Nonsense experience. You might be aware that this podcast is the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's been specifically designed for only the best listeners from ages 2 and everything in between and thereabouts. I'm Tiernan, and I will guide you, our esteemed guests this week, around the premises and all that we have to offer you. Psst, listeners, I'm trying to see if I can encourage any really fancy, really wealthy guests to come and pay zillions and zillions of pounds or dollars or zen or gold-coated monkeys or even really posh soaps and toiletries to stay here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ. So hopefully, they might like the sound of it, and then I'll be rich. So, excuse me. Come through here. Yes, follow me. And as you can see, if you would like to stay here, we have many boutique rooms with their own themes around the podcast. So this room here, obviously, is the illustrious farting animal collection room. Yes, you might have heard about it. They do take requests, but only for sounds, sadly, not smells. Over here is the room made entirely of things I found in the dustbin outside. 3 people can stay in this room, as long as one of you is happy to sleep on the world's comfiest bed made of old socks. One of you can sleep inside that broken tuba, and one of you stands very carefully over there by the old microwave. No, I wouldn't stand on it. That would be dangerous. But yes, I would make some s'mores in there. And yes, I am already doing that. Please excuse me. S'mores. Over here, this very spacious room has been made out of our world-famous mailbag. Yes, you might have heard of that before or seen it in the news or perhaps scribbled on a piece of paper in the park. But yes, if you stay in this room, you can even read some of the correspondence that has been sent in by our illustrious listeners. Look at this from one of our regular writers-inners. Hello, Tiernan, it's me, Rhino Expert 3000, and I have come to say hello. Hello, Rhino Expert 3000. Also, at the polling station when I went with my parents, the lady there was called Linda. I hope this helps you with your search for her. Oh, and I'm giving you more farting lemons. Yes, they are scented lemony fresh. You see, even the 3000th best Rhino expert knows about radio nonsense, which is yet another sign of the kind of quality establishment that we are here. Well, Rhino Expert 3000, hello to you as well, and thank you for the lemony fresh farting lemons. And that is right, if you are interested, I have distributed one into every single one of our fabulous guest rooms so that they all smell like citrusy, lemony whiffs. Perhaps Linda is working at the polling station, though now the election is over. She should be back any minute now, but I hope not, because Linda? Yes, I should explain. If any of you need a workstation during your stay, you can hot desk at Linda's desk because she's simply never in. And yes, it was used by the famous Linda, who you may or may not know. I certainly don't know her, and I'm not sure she exists. She may never have used this desk, but as you can see, it is full of some very, very old cups of coffee, and a collection of paper clips. And I think that's a sweet that I started to eat and then I spat out. No, it's not connected to Wi-Fi. It is quite whiffy, but it's not connected to Wi-Fi. But if you see that tin can there connected to a string, yes, that's right. It's a special service. If you yell into it, a greengrocer called Jeffrey, who lives 4 streets away, will get very, very upset. Yes, that's right. Just for our business guests. Only the best. Now, over here are the very important rules of the establishment. You've got to have rules. We don't have many, but they are very key to your stay. So here you go. If you have a question that you need answering, or you want to send in anything else at all, then you can do that by asking your nearest haggard flump face. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I mean grown up. To help you, email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And yes, you do need a grown up to help. I'm very sorry, but there are rules. Even if you are a grown up, you do still need a grown up to help. And if that same grown up, of course, would like to support this show, this establishment, they can sign you up to the advert free Linda edition for a small fee every month on patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids, Acast Plus, or indeed Apple Podcasts. That's right, we cater to mostly places that begin with A. May I recommend as well having a little look if you're staying over at comedyclubforkids.co.uk for all of our live shows. How long are you staying? Oh, really? Oh, well, then you should probably also check out Bust or Trust, a kids mystery podcast that I also do. And a very big UK newspaper have just said that it was the best kids podcast. Yes, they did. No, they didn't mention this podcast, but that is because this podcast is only for cool kids. And that's definitely the reason. Yes. Now here's something I know most guests can't wait to see. So let me introduce you to the most importantest bit.
Services, amenity, elevator, curtains with sticks.
Today's fantastic guest is Tom Gidman, aka Tom, inventor of the stink bomb, aka T Gids, royal finder of Tupperware lids, or as all of our listeners who are strange creatures that make weird noises at night know you. But of course, Tom, you are well known for making an app to help everyone know exactly how far away they are from a chicken, for creating the successful theme park chain Office World, where people can spin on chairs or run around in revolving doors for hours of family fun, and most famously, Tom, for your campaign to make all mountains in the world the same height so none of them can be the tallest. Tom, it is a joy to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. It's a joy to be here, and thank you for outlining all my illustrious achievements. I'm very proud of all of them.
You should be. It is. I mean, it's quite the list, and I know I left things off there as well, but it was hard to fit them all in. You just seem like an eternally busy man.
Well, I'm also a very tall man, but you can't tell this because I'm just on a screen, but I'm 6'7", and so the whole mountain project was really inspired by me being very tall and feeling bad for everybody who isn't tall, because it's just so great. You know, I'm more or less in the clouds.
Yes.
Most of the time. You know, I can see planes. I'm almost in space. Not quite.
Not quite.
But almost.
Does that make you sad? Do you wish you were a little bit taller just so you could talk to aliens?
Yeah. I mean, 2 more inches and I'd be there.
Yeah.
I can hear the aliens. I can hear them, but I can't see them.
Wow, that's got to be quite frustrating as well. You know they're talking, you can't really reply, or you don't know where they are.
Yeah, and sometimes I can hear parties. I can just hear good times happening up in space, and I just wish that I could be involved.
I feel that. Well, it's, I mean, and listeners are, they might be aware already. I am the opposite of you. I am very, very short.
Okay.
And depending on whether I wear my sort of extendable legs or not, but normally, I am sort of at best a couple of centimeters tall, up to 5'5" when I wear my extendable legs, and so I do regularly have conversations with ants and small creatures, but I can't hear anything, say, birds say. I never get to wave at people on planes. And so, I'm quite jealous of that.
Are the bugs that you speak to cartoonishly villainous, or are they quite nice?
Do you know what? What's funny is it's very dependent on the bugs. Most people think ladybirds probably going to be quite friendly, but they are horrible. They are. Well, they eat aphids. All they do is go around eating little aphids, cackling, saying, I'm going to destroy your plants. And it's not very nice.
Swatting people with handbags.
Yes. They do that a lot, actually. So they're not very nice. But woodlice, lovely.
See, it's always the bugs you least expect.
Yeah, that's true.
Scorpions, I hear, are quite pleasant.
really nice and regularly
Yeah,
apologizing for sort of stinging.
for
They'll
stinging
often go,
people.
"Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that," and
Yeah,
then
very, very British,
yes, very, very,
very apologetic. So
which
frightfully sorry.
which is so interesting because they don't. There are, they come from very different parts of the world, but they really have got that British
Yeah. Well,
sensibility.
yeah, exactly. They've sort of gone across. They started in Britain, and they've you know, a troop of immigrant or emigrant bugs.
Mm. That's right. They've travelled. They've travelled everywhere. They've seen the world, and now they
Mm,
sort of find it. Yeah, I suppose that's the problem. Is that they sort of probably went to places on holiday, but being a scorpion, quite difficult to board a plane back home because everyone says, "No, you're a
right.
scorpion. Get off the plane."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because normally scorpions they're not allowed on planes.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and people get jealous because they've got such a big seat. They think
yes.
I'm stuck here with my knees by my ears, and there's a scorpion here sat next to me with all the room in the world. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they fly past my head, because I'm up in the sky,
Of course, of course.
and then I wave, and sometimes I get hit.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, I have a very bumpy head.
Yes, I assume so. I mean, getting hit by a plane in the head,
Mm.
that's got to be cause quite a lot of damage. I'd have thought.
Yeah, yeah. But because it's so cold that
Mm.
high up in the sky, um, my wounds just freeze.
Oh, that's nice, like an immediate ice
Yeah,
pack.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's lovely. That is
Yeah.
lovely. It's funny because I think I have been on a plane before when they've said, we're very sorry, but we're experiencing some turbulence because we've flown into Tom's head. I
Yeah,
have heard
yeah,
that before. Yeah.
yeah. I'll be honest, it's embarrassing.
Mm.
I don't want to cause more disruption to the aviation industry.
Mm. Sure.
I don't want to ruin people's holidays, but there I am, like a lumbering buffoon. I just can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm
Well,
sorry,
you're
everybody.
very unfair to yourself there, Tom. That's you're not a lumbering buffet. You can't help it. I think if you were purposefully gallivanting about headbutting planes, you would
Mm.
be a buffoon. But you're just getting on with your day, and if anything, it's these
Yeah.
planes that are
Then you.
carelessly flying into your face.
Well, that's true. Actually, if they had better flying skills,
Mm.
they could see me coming a mile off. But they're
Yes.
so glued to their process, and we can't deviate from the flight path. We
No.
just can't do it. So they just crash right into me.
It's outrageous, really. I mean, I was going to say that because you're with your mountains. Your mountains is all about making them all the same height. Do you want the same for sort of tall people and tall buildings? Is this a sort of talking about your troubles
Yeah.
with planes? Do you just want
Hmm.
everything to be leveled out?
I actually did submit a few planning proposals to the government for projects of that nature. The problem with the people is that it requires chopping off people's heads, if they're
Ah,
too tall, or chopping off their feet.
sure.
And people don't want that.
Hmm.
Some people, no, 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 pretty much no one wants that.
Right, right.
Um,
Okay. I'm surprised. I
apart
thought there'd
from
be one
Henry
or two.
VIII's wives.
Oh yes, right. There you go. Yeah, always an exception. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were quite keen because it was just that's what they did back then. They just chop people's heads off.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's either that or you squeeze them down to size. You sort of in a clamp,
Oh yes, yes.
and it's not as painful as you'd think.
Right. Yeah,
Or you stretch the smaller people. There's lots of ways around it.
yeah. Because like if you what's it called when you've got like there's like sort of bags. Is it vacuum packs where you sort of squeeze
Mm,
lots of things into a bag and then you close it and seal it and all the air goes out and then it's
yes.
smaller? Could you do
Yeah,
that to
yeah.
people?
Vacuum. Well, that's an idea. They'd get very shriveled and wrinkly,
Yes.
but then you could create an anti-wrinkle serum and sell that to them and make
That's
all like,
nice.
loads of money.
Yeah. I mean, it might be like a sponge where you just put them in the bath.
Mm.
And
Oh, and then they just go back to normal.
yeah, yeah. Would that work?
I'll add it to the proposal and
Sure,
I'll
sure.
I'll send it to the government
Yes.
to the prime minister
Yes.
who signs off all these projects.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
Um,
pretty sure he would do that. Actually, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he'd do it. You pose. I just have to backtrack a little bit as well. You've said something very
Mm,
interesting that I don't, not sure if I don't know how many of our listeners are historians. I'd
hmm
reckon probably 48.3% of them, but I
mm.
might be wrong. But you know, a lot of people don't realise that in the olden days when they chopped people's heads off, it was just because those people said, I want to be a bit shorter."
Yeah, yeah. So Henry VIII loved all his wives,
Mm.
um, but he had a great deal of respect for people's wishes surrounding their height.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So it it was devastating for him to chop his wives' heads off, but they just wanted to be shorter, and he
Mm.
couldn't say no. He just couldn't say no to them.
Yeah, and also because in those days, sort of, especially sort of women had to wear those very, very big dresses that
Hmm
covered everything. You didn't realize they had legs that you could have cut off instead. You know, so it
No,
had to be the heads.
well, that was the great mystery. Because as you say, they had a lot of clothes on.
Mm,
People didn't know what body parts they had.
mm.
Um, a lot of scientists at the time thought that it was just helium,
Yes,
just a sort of just the right amount of helium that would inflate the dresses to that kind of size, and they would just float along, and the head was just its own thing.
yes, yes, like a sort of very fancy balloon.
Exactly, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's where the phrase "a very fancy balloon" comes from.
right, right. That's what I thought. Right, right.
Yeah,
Very famous
this is
phrase. Yeah, yeah.
famous phrase. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've heard scorpions say it before, I think, and I've always
yes,
wondered. Yeah, always
yeah, yeah,
wondered.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, it's already enlightening talking to you, Tom, and you do make me
I'm
wonder.
glad.
Actually, speaking about balloons, have you thought about sort of
Mm.
encasing your head in a kind of bouncy castle so that when planes fly into you, they just rebound off?
Yes, the only problem with the bouncy castle is that I worry birds would
Oh,
want to bounce on it, and
yes.
and they'd take advantage of that. And birds have beaks, and pretty sharp beaks,
Yeah.
and it might burst. So that's my only concern.
It's
But
a.
beakless birds, maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good. Well, maybe if we start by removing beaks from birds,
Yeah, and
and
that could be another project submission to the Prime Minister.
yeah, because it wouldn't make them shorter, but it would make them less long. Less. Is that
Mm,
right? Is that the right?
yes. Yeah. Less long. Yeah, I think that's correct because their beaks, unless the beak is on the top of their head pointing upwards,
Mm.
which for most birds it isn't.
Yeah, and then you're. Is it a beak or is it a hat?
Yeah, and it's normally a hat.
Yeah,
And
and
if I know birds,
yeah,
and I
and
I
you
do
do,
know
you do. Yeah,
birds,
yeah, yeah,
is that they like to wear hats.
yeah, yeah.
You
Um,
know,
yeah. Which
especially if they're going on a bouncy castle,
I was going to
because
say,
it'd be a party
arguably,
hat.
you can wear a hat on a bouncy castle. Quite all
Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
no beaks, but hats okay. Yeah.
yeah, and no talons,
Yes.
no claws. That's the other thing, and they wouldn't be allowed to operate drills
Yes.
or
Yes.
carry scissors,
Yes.
which again lots of birds do.
That's true. Or bring any porcupine friends.
Yeah, no porcupines, no
Yeah.
porcupines.
Yeah.
Spineless porcupines,
Yes.
by which I mean
Yes.
the spines on their
Yes, they're not
not
like
their
they're sort of jelly,
vertebrae.
like they're sort of jelly
No,
flopping about. But arguably, porcupines that are like jelly probably okay on a bouncy castle as well.
yeah, and quite funny.
Very
They're
funny.
good value. They're very entertaining.
Very, very, very funny. Yes,
Yeah,
very funny. Find it very difficult to curl up in a ball though, like
yeah.
porcupines. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing with the bouncy castles is I would worry about the pilots. Going back to the pilots,
Hmm.
would they park the plane on a cloud and want to come and have a bounce?
Oh. Oh.
Because they're quite
Yeah.
silly, aren't they, pilots? Deep down.
Very silly. And then you got the problem with all the passengers saying, "Well, I had to be in New York by 8 a.m. or whatever," and,
Yeah,
and and then they won't get there because the pilot will be
yeah.
bouncing around.
But then eventually they'd want to go as well.
They would, yeah, they would.
And I don't know how many I could support on my bouncy castle head.
Yeah, and you've also got to be ready for anyone that bounces too much and falls off, and you've got to catch them, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of hassle. There's a lot of
And
hassle.
health and safety nightmare, really.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I can see you thought all this through. I sort of,
Mm,
sometimes these things just occur to me, and of course you are a professional. You've obviously thought about this before. You know, um,
yeah, yeah. I take it very seriously.
I can tell. I
All
can
my
tell.
all my projects.
I can tell. I can tell. And this is why it's a delight to have you on here. I've been sent in a question that I know you are the expert. That is professional enough that you can answer it. I
Yeah,
do wonder, Tom. I don't know how you feel about this. I've got a couple of admin questions that I do have to ask you first. How do you feel about admin?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Admin's great. As I say, admin isn't bad men.
Whoa.
You could even say it's good men.
Wow.
Yeah, bit of wisdom for you there.
I've never heard that before. That is not even from a scorpion. I mean, that is amazing. That is
Yeah, yeah. Or you
admin
could even
isn't
call it
bad man.
adwin.
Wow.
Yeah, there's many
Wow.
levels.
That is incredible. And I guess if it is badmin, is it called badmin?
If yes,
Okay. So
yes,
this is badmin.
this is bad. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's bad admin. But
That's
if the
good, yeah.
badmin is bad, if it's
Mm.
bad badmin, then it's just called admin.
Oh. Oh, because then
If
it's goodmin.
it cancels each other out, yeah,
Right.
it becomes goodman.
'Cause it's so bad at being bad, it's good.
Yes. But if you have bad goodmen, that's just min.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
It,
it's
it,
quite a
it,
lot to get your head because
yeah. If you want more detail on this, quantum physics is
right.
it really goes down to sort of the quantum physics of the universe, um, of how this all works.
My concern because they say two wrongs don't make a right unless you've gone. Is it left and then left wrongly, and then you're maybe that. But
Mm,
two badmins make a good min.
yeah. And two badmins and a goodman makes an admin sandwich.
Is that nice to eat?
With the right condiments,
Mm.
ketchup, mayo, mustard is tasty.
Sure, you just got to be
Yeah,
yeah. Choose the right ones. It's always the problem with sandwiches. Wrong condiments.
yeah, exactly.
Awful.
It's
Yeah.
it's the seasoning and the sauces that really,
Really make it.
if I was eating a frog the other day and it was disgusting,
Mm.
but I just lathered it in ketchup and it tasted great.
Ketchup makes pretty much everything better, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Everything. Yeah, a shoe, a frog. Yeah, you name
yeah.
it. Ketchup
Um,
fixes it. Yeah.
yeah.
Scaffolding is horrible, but
Tornadoes,
ketchup. Yeah,
hurricanes,
lovely bit of
just
ketchup.
ketchup
Yeah,
sorts it out.
yeah. You're very, very wise, Tom. Listen, as I said, thank you for this. And I'm going to give you these admin questions. We've got two.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
I think the second one is harder, but you take your time on
Okay.
both of them. You answer
Okay.
them how you need to.
Okay.
The first admin question is quite simply, what is this?
What is this? What isn't this?
Wow.
I can tell you a few things that it isn't.
Okay, that would be very helpful. Yeah.
A portrait of the Queen,
Right.
a telepathic Frenchman,
Oh,
16 16 cubes.
right. It's not
It's
16
not those.
cubes.
It's
Right.
not 16
Gosh, I'm
cubes.
quite surprised. Okay.
And it's not a scented candle.
Oh,
Estimates of what it could be.
yeah.
A satchel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a flannel,
Wow, really?
Yeah, it could be a flannel.
Okay, okay.
Um, and it could be a foam finger that you get at baseball, basketball games.
Wow.
It could be that. But these are just
Gosh.
estimates.
Sure. I mean, I have to say, I'm still quite blown away by the fact it's not 16 cubes. I really thought
Yeah,
here are
a
16
lot of
cubes.
people think it's
Yeah.
16 cubes.
Mm.
Um, and maybe 10 years ago it would have been.
Right. Right. I see. But times change.
Times change. The political climate is very different.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, we live in an age of smartphones and technology, and
Yeah.
cubes, they're just going out. You know, they're almost what's the word? Defunct.
Yeah.
They're just going out of the public
I'll say.
consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whereas flannels, I suppose, when isn't, flannels have been needed throughout history and probably into the
yeah. They're
future.
timeless
Yeah.
pieces. They're timeless.
Yeah.
Um, I actually rediscovered the joy of flannels.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
the kinds of thing that you use when you're a kid in the bath, and they're just a lot of fun. And then as
Mm.
I grew up, I stopped using a flannel,
Yes.
and I don't know why, because they're just great fun. If you're in the shower and you put a flannel over your face,
Mm.
you get this like waterfall of hot water that just encases you, and it's like a big hug. It's like a big hug in the shower.
That's very nice. That is very nice.
Yeah.
Why do you suppose, especially as you are someone who is nearly as tall as space,
hmm
when you say flannel, do you mean full size towel, or are you still using a
I'm
flannel?
talking about a small square
Right. Okay.
that you might use to wash your face with.
Right. Because that
Yeah.
for a ladybird, for example, that's a towel. Well,
Yes.
no,
Oh,
but so
yeah.
for a
I see
flannel,
the point you're
they would
making.
have to use a um I don't know actually. What would you have to use for a part of
Well,
a leaf, probably, or something?
y-
Something very small.
yeah. Or the maths exercise books you have at school,
Yes,
which have grids. They have squares. It would be like
yes.
a square of that.
That's exactly what they
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Whereas for me, it would be more like the roof of Wimbledon centre
yes,
court.
yes. Is that what you
Um,
use? You use
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. I had to give it back
of
every
course.
summer. Every summer, I have to give it back to Wimbledon so
That
that they
makes
can use
sense.
it.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Um,
Nice, nice of them to let you use it the rest of the year, though.
yeah. One time I actually lost it, but I just held my hand over centre court, and
Right, right.
that was a sort of an acceptable trade-off. So I stopped the rain like that.
That's nice. And then obviously you must have found it again since.
Yes, yeah. It was on an Etihad Airways flight landing in Dubai,
Wow.
and I don't know how they landed because it was wrapped up in this tennis court roof, but it was obviously a good pilot.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if it just sort of made the flight quite cozy.
yeah, yeah. Everyone did report that they were just the right amount of warm,
Mm, that's nice.
um, and snuggled up.
That's very nice. Quite lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, wow. Well, listen. Thank you, Tom. I know we're sort of not entirely sure what this is, but now
Mm,
that I know it might be, I mean, I'm hoping it's a flannel because
yeah.
it sounds like that would be the best case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. We can hope.
Yeah. I don't really know what I'd do with a satchel, let alone a foam pointy finger, but a flannel I think I could really help me out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be keeping an eye out
Mm.
and monitoring the situation,
Thank you. Thank you.
and hopefully the flannel is what will happen.
Wow. Well, we can just hope. Thank you. Nice to have a bit of
Yeah.
optimism
No.
in our
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation. Right. Well, listen, Tom. Thank you for nearly answering that first bit of
Yes.
admin. The second bit, as I said, I think this is complicated and it's not an easy question, but we do have to ask it.
hmm Okay.
Would you rather, Tom, be in a constant egg and spoon race for the rest of your life, or in a constant three-legged race?
Ooh. Is this in the context of a constant sports day? Is
I
there
I guess
or a
so.
constant village fete?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It doesn't tell you which one, but you presume this is, it sounds like it's been organised that way. I'm
Yeah,
guessing you're not constantly egg and spoon racing, just sort of up and down the road on your way to the shops, but that could also be what they mean.
it could be doing laps around a circular track.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So here's my thoughts. The three-legged race, you've got company the whole time, you
That's
know,
nice.
and if it's a friend, or even if it's not a friend, the person might become a friend. Um, and
Mm.
that would be whereas with the egg and spoon, you've just got an egg. And I have made friends with eggs before,
Yeah, yeah.
so that it's not unheard of.
Did you
Eggs
draw
do
a
make good companions.
Did you draw a face on the egg, or was it that it
It
hatched? Or
it already had one.
right? Okay. Oh,
It already had one. Yeah. It
oh.
it, it was honestly it was terrifying at first.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
I opened the egg box and I was making pancakes, and one of
Mm.
the eggs I picked it out and it had a face, and it was moving lips, eyes. It just was talking,
Wow.
and I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and until I found out its life story. Um, and
Was
it's a long story, but
right.
it essentially amounts to it was an alien and
Oh,
been hiding in an egg box for years.
wow. Was that a mistake? Because I'd have thought as an alien, you come to the Earth, you probably want to scout out what the Earth's like. I'm guessing
Mm,
this alien thought maybe it was hanging out with some friends. Next thing it knows, the lid's closed. It's sitting on a
yeah,
supermarket shelf.
exactly, and it didn't want to jump out in case this wasn't
Hmm.
attacking kind of alien.
Sure.
It was a peaceful alien,
Yeah.
and it's like what they say: aliens are more scared of you than you are of them.
Right. Sure. Yes. Yes.
Um, so yeah, and it had just been sat there biding its time,
Hmm.
and then until I found it and took it out, and eventually I sat down with it, I chatted with it, and his name was Steve.
Nice. Very alien name. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I helped it through some tough times, and eventually I helped repair its spaceship and sent it back to its home planet.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Did it
Yeah.
did, just have interest? Was it able to help you with any of the parties or alien noises you'd previously heard but weren't able to see?
It told me to stay clear of them. Because he knew those aliens. He knew them,
Right.
the ones that were there partying just out of reach. And apparently they're not very nice. They're like the
Right.
school bullies.
That's a shame.
So it just said you don't need. He said to me, "You don't need them.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
you don't need
Wise
them."
wise words. Wise
Yeah,
words from a little eggy alien.
little
Yeah.
egg. Yeah.
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 I was
Sorry.
going to say, what was the egg's views and egg aliens' views on us eating eggs? Quite horrified by it all, or
Yes.
yes, right, sure,
Yes. Yeah. Um, I did continue to make the pancakes. I won't
right,
lie.
sure, sure, yeah, of
Um,
course.
yeah, which was a rough start to our relationship, but
Hey,
I was hungry.
and you can't if you're making pancakes, you can't stop making pancakes. No one wants that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Then the
that's fair.
pan gets upset.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it was a sentient pan as well.
Oh well,
Yeah, but pretty much the same story as with the eggs. I bought a
sure, sure.
multi-pack of pans. One of them was an
Like an
alien.
alien, yeah,
Blah blah
yeah.
blah. You know how it goes.
It happens. It's it's not talked about enough, and I'm sorry it keeps happening to you. But you're very
Yeah.
thoughtful with how you deal with that, and that's very nice. These aliens do need they don't know. When they're looking down at the Earth, they aren't sure what the kind of sentient species are. They turn into
Mm,
whatever they see, and then it's
yeah.
they get here and then go, oh no, I'm a doormat, and I hadn't realised, or it's
Exactly.
very hard.
And then
Yeah.
they just get stood on day in day out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because there was that whole sort of a documentary series about the Transformers, they called it, and it was about those ones all turned into cars and planes and things, but it doesn't tell you about all the other ones that just turned into really useless or difficult objects.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that would be a more truthful
Yes.
documentary
Yes, it would. They would.
if it talked about those. But I did actually try an egg and spoon race with Steve, my
Oh yeah.
pet
Yeah.
alien egg. Um, and he didn't like it.
Oh,
He didn't like
that's a
it.
shame.
He felt it was beneath him
Wow. Wow.
because he
Steve.
was a trained accountant.
Right, sure. Yeah.
And he thought, egg and spoon race? Come
Mm.
on.
Mm.
Come on. I should be working in for a big multinational corporation.
I get that. I mean, there's also quite a lot of risk in it for Steve. You know, he's got to balance on a
Yeah.
spoon.
Yeah.
It's down to whether or not you drop him or keep him there, and that's
Yeah.
it's a lot of trust.
Yeah. So you know what? I think the memories of that are just too painful, and for that reason, I think I have to choose the being in a constant three-legged race for the rest of my life because I'd just be thinking about Steve, my pet alien egg, the whole time if I was,
I get that, and
doing
I
the
think that's a
egg race.
beautiful reason for choosing it. I do have to ask: do you have any preferable three-legged race partners that you'd like to be stuck with you this whole time?
Um, can they be animals?
Yeah.
Because a giraffe would be
Oh.
the practical choice,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
based on their height.
They would have to have two legs up in the air or two legs. It's a three-legged race, so they would have to work
Oh,
that out.
so they would have to be on two legs running like a human
Yes, I
with
think so. Yeah.
with their front legs sort of up in the
Yes,
air,
that would be the rules.
flailing
Yeah, yeah.
around. Well, that would be really funny. I would love to see that. So I'm going to choose a giraffe.
It's a very good thing, and even though you would be doing it for the rest of your life, I think if you kept running, you'd keep running past different people, and they'd endlessly find it
Yeah,
amusing. So you're bringing joy
yeah.
to the world.
And the giraffe could end up being an alien that's come down and disguise itself as a giraffe. You
Very
just never
true.
know.
Very true. Wow, better than an egg though. I think smart move.
Yeah,
Smart move.
yeah.
Being a
Because I'm not going
giraffe.
to be making giraffe pancakes.
No, very difficult. Very difficult to do.
Although, no. I
No,
think no.
too tricky. I think to fit
Too
them in.
tricky.
How
Yeah.
do you fit them in a pan?
I think the vacuum packer.
Oh yes,
Like we were
yes,
talking about earlier.
yes. Of course. That's nice. That's really
Yeah.
nice. Well, I mean, thank you, Tom. You've answered. You've really helped with both questions there. Thank you. You actually
Okay.
answered the second one. We're still not sure about the flannel, but the second one is now definitively answered. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this brings me to our question, which again, I'm grateful that you could be here for this, and I think you are the man that can answer this.
Yeah.
This has been sent in by Finbarr, who is age 7.
Yeah.
He doesn't say 7 what. We will assume it's years, but it could be minutes, centuries,
Light years. Although light years is a measurement of distance, isn't it? Not.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 7. It could be 7 pineapples. It could be. He hasn't said, so.
Okay.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
But Finbarr, he has asked, this is a very important question, actually. And again, it goes back to any of the listeners that are historians to this week's show. Finbarr asks, in the age of Victorians, would it be illegal to shake your booty?
In the age of Victorians, would it be illegal to shake your booty? Wow, what a question. What a question.
Big question.
Thank you, Finbarr, for asking it. Because a lot of people would be scared to ask that question, I think.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I think it depends on how you define booty. Because if we're talking about pirate treasure, that kind of booty, then you could shake it. You could shake a treasure chest, or a bag of gold in the Victorian era. I don't know why you would, but you could.
It'd probably make quite a
Um,
nice sound, though, wouldn't it?
yeah, well, yeah,
Jingly,
that's true.
jangly. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were at a dance
Hmm.
and there was no music and people were just dancing to silence, it'd be quite awkward. So maybe you'd need some sort of maraca, and you think, oh, I've just found this treasure chest, some pirate treasure, so I'll just get that and I'll shake that.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd be very heavy, but I think it could be quite
yeah.
lovely. Yeah, quite
And
lovely.
I'd be surprised if a Victorian police officer were to arrest you for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Quite unlikely. Yes.
yeah. And then how else could you? A bootie could also be a small boot,
Could be a very little boot. Yes.
small
Yes.
small shoe, like a baby shoe.
Yes, a tiny little booty. Yes.
Um,
Elves
and
shoe. Yeah.
in elf shoes,
Yeah.
yeah, ladybird shoes,
Mm.
um, scorpion shoes.
Yes. Yes.
And I think in that situation, yes, it's highly illegal. That is highly,
Right.
highly illegal.
Really?
If you ever travel back in time to the Victorian era and you have a small shoe, just don't shake it. Just don't do
Wow.
it. It's not worth the risk. Um, because the Victorians were very proper people. You
Mm.
know, they believed in smartness. Um, if you just look at their clothes, they were very well dressed,
Yeah.
and a tiny shoe is a mockery of that. Really, it's like
Wow.
you're making fun of them.
Is it like because I often think about one of the only things I ever remember from learning Shakespeare at school was it was an
Mm.
insult to bite your thumb at someone. It's like I bite my thumb at thee or whatever it was. Is
Yes,
it like in Victorian times I shake my tiny boot at you? Is that a truly offensive thing that you could do?
yeah, it's exactly like that.
Wow.
It's exactly like that. Yeah, it's the kind of thing you only do to your worst enemy.
Wow. Okay. Right. Right.
Um, and and if you did it, they might chop your head off, and not because you wanted to be smaller.
Sure. Sure. That's
Um, so
gosh, that's
yeah,
awful.
the other definition of booty, which might be the one that Finbarr is getting at,
Yes. Yes.
I don't know for sure,
Mm,
is one's bum or
mm.
buttock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I'm gonna surprise you, Finbarr, and say that the Victorians liked to shake their booty.
Wow. No
They
way.
were, yeah, they, despite all the prim and properness, when they get on the dance floor, they let loose.
Wow. Wow.
They would shake the bum. They were kind of wild,
Mm.
especially officers of the law.
Wow. Official booty.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
official police officer booty. So rather than it being illegal, they would celebrate it. They would reward it. It was a status symbol.
So I suppose
Um,
my question to you is if like a sort of a Victorian party was advertising itself as come and shake your booty, how did they make
mhm.
sure people knew they meant big Victorian butts as opposed to tiny Victorian shoes or indeed pirate's treasure?
Pirate's treasure. Um, Oftentimes they couldn't control it because people would misunderstand, and they just had to employ the Victorian equivalent of bouncers,
Right, right.
which were security guards to be on the door, and they'd see people approaching with their little boots or their
Mm.
big hauls of treasure, and they would just say, "Nah, not today, mate.
Wow.
Off you go."
What about
Um,
if you've got a big booty, like a big
yeah,
bum, big
yeah,
shaky bum butt? If you put a tiny shoe in your butt pocket and maybe
yeah,
treasure in the other pocket, and then you shake your
yeah,
booty, would that have
yeah.
been illegal?
Yes,
Right.
um, but just hats off to anyone who does that, because it's just the ultimate. Um, no one's going to find out. They'll be either so mesmerized by the bum shaking,
Mm,
or it'll just be so perfectly disguised that no one would ever know.
that's true.
Um,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it would have been illegal and head chop worthy.
Wow.
worthy of a good head chopping. Um,
Wow.
but
Wow.
it's some of the biggest bootied people, often the aristocrats, the
Yes, of
highest in
course. Of course.
society. Their bums would be so big
Mm.
that they would droop down onto the floor and sort of drag behind them like a
Right.
wedding dress train.
Yes.
So they would employ people to carry them behind them. Be hoisting the bum up on their shoulders.
Wow.
And this was actually a source of employment. A lot of
Of
people's
course.
jobs, if you were lower down in the ranks of the
Mm. Mm.
Victorian society, you would get a job holding somebody's bum up in the air.
Wow, a
And
booty
you,
carrier.
yeah,
Yes.
and you'd be paid extra to go to parties and shake it because it's hard
Wow.
work.
That's very hard work, but what a job to get. And, I'm sure your
Mm,
sort of friends would be so jealous and your family would be very
yeah,
proud. And especially if you sort of end up becoming a royal booty shaker or yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's like in Downton Abbey. The chief butler
Mm.
is a person of great respect.
Of course. Yeah.
Ultimately, they're a servant, but they're really respected and valued.
And is that why they're called butlers as well? That must be where the name comes from.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. And so they buttle.
Yes.
Um, so you learn your trade buttling, um, which of course originally just meant carrying people's butts.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
That's
yeah.
that is amazing. And it's so nice to know that the Victorians, who often you might imagine as being quite stuffy sort of
Mm,
people, but they were there. They were bringing it. They were bringing the booty shake, and they were having a lovely time as long as no one waved a small shoe about. And I think that's a lovely
yeah.
image.
Yeah, and they're great limboers as well.
Oh wow, wow!
Really good at the limbo.
Which is hard to do when
Um,
you've got a butt that's being carried by many people.
yeah, but you can lean back and then
Mm.
lean on your own butt.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
a bean bag,
That's
and then
clever, isn't it?
yeah.
That's very clever.
But then
Yeah.
you obviously have to sort of drag yourself forward, and so your legs have to be really strong.
Sure. That's tricky. That's tricky. But
So you have
very
big calf
impressive.
muscles.
Very impressive. It's
Yeah.
such a shame that we don't have that in today's. We've lost those abilities in today's society. Where are our
Mm.
gigantic butts with very strong legs that allow us to limbo? You know.
Yeah. We've lost that, and again, it's smartphones. Because why have a big butt and strong legs in
Mm,
real life when you can, have a digital um, strong leg, big butt character on your phone.
that's very true. Very
Uh,
true.
um, you
Wow.
know,
It's technology. Technology changes everything,
technology.
for better or worse. I'm
Yeah.
sad today that nobody can aspire to be a butt carrier like they
Mm.
used to be. It's a job that's lost to the ages. But there you
But
go.
maybe with AI,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. AI
AI
can carry
might bring it
butts.
back.
Yeah,
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 AI could do it for us.
that's true. Artificial
Yeah,
butt carrying. Yeah, that's very true.
exactly. Yeah.
Intelligent butt carrying. Yeah. Well, listen, Tom, what a fascinating delve into history, and I hope all of our
Mm.
listeners are really appreciative of that, especially Finbar. Thank you so much for answering
Yes,
his
thank you,
question.
Finbar.
And in fact, just for joining us on the show today. I know you're very busy with your mountain leveling out campaign. Do you have to ask what have you got coming up in the next couple of 100 years? Anything much?
Well, my the office-based theme park you mentioned in the
Hmm.
beginning, I've got a lot of new rides to test
Great.
for that. Um, so a lot of desk roller coasters, um, which are regular roller coasters made out of desks,
Nice. Nice.
um, and cotton candy that you serve around a pen,
Oh, right. Lovely. Lovely.
which isn't a ride, admittedly.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
it's a snack.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I need to test everything out because I'm the CEO, I'm the manager of this place, so everything has to go by me. So I'll be doing a lot of that
That's great. That's great.
probably for the next 80 years, and then
Right.
the next 20 after that, I might retire.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that you've
Yeah,
got it all. Much like everything, Tom. You've got it very well planned out, and I like that. I respect that
yeah,
a lot. So, yeah,
yeah. I like to be organised.
yes, absolutely. And nothing is more
Yeah.
organised than an office Office World theme park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And obviously, because I'm so tall, I really have to plan how I get into the building and into the theme park because
Yes.
there's height restrictions. They make an exception for me,
Sure.
and it's enormously uncomfortable. But I make it work.
Listen, I think for everything that you've given us today in the question answering, we understand you're a very sensible, very intelligent man, and honestly,
Thank you.
very grateful for your expertise, and good luck with the office world. Good luck with dodging planes.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for having me to talk about my intense wisdom.
Tiny soap in plastic.
Phone that blinks.
Band-Aid colored blanket.
Yes, Tom Gidman is one of our most esteemed guests here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ, though it is obviously hard finding him a room at his size. He usually just sits in the garden. Yes. Finbarr, I really sincerely hope that you liked your answer from Tom. And obviously, if you didn't, and there's anything we can do to help, then please do send any complaints you have on a small Victorian shoe, and then it will get confiscated by Victorian police, and I'll never have to see them. Tom, as you may know, and I don't mean to name drop, but he's a writer on many animated shows like My Little Pony or LK School Days, to name but two of many, many, many. So, look out for his name next time you're watching your favourite show or when you come to stay here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ. And let me just go over the rules again. They really are part of our ethos here at Radio Nonsense. It's a really important part of who we are, who you are, who that is. I don't know who that is, actually. Could someone have them removed? But listen, if you have a question that you would like to have answered, or you want to send in anything else at all, then please do get your nearest haggard flump faces. I'm sorry, that's just today's menu. I mean grown-ups, obviously. To help you, email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Yes, even if you are yourself a grown-up. Well, I'm sorry, but that is just the rules. Even if, as you say, you're definitely a grown-up. And those grown-ups can also obviously support this show and this establishment by signing up to the advert-free Linda edition, which you get a whole one day earlier to, and you can do that at Acast Plus, Apple Podcasts, or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. But no, there are no other extras, just sort of, you get it a day earlier. And isn't that enough? Do you not think we do enough for you here at Radio Nonsense Comedy Club for Kids HQ establishment? We don't. Right, I see. Well, why not then tell everyone you've ever met to listen to Radio Nonsense, even if they don't have ears or they are allergic to podcasts, and every episode would make them sneeze until their butts fell off. In fact, especially tell those people that's a special service that we do. So, now I've read the rules again. Over here, you can see in our restaurant, today we are serving a wonderful menagerie of lemons that are actually potatoes painted yellow, with the essence of yellow painted potatoes drizzled with the juice of lemons that definitely aren't lemons. And here are some chairs made by the world-renowned Stuart Chair from Chairville. And you'll like this. In here it might look like an ordinary, not very well cleaned bathroom, but this is actually our spa, the exclusive spa, where you can get the very best in. So what is it? Yes, no, even if you are a grown-up, you do still need to get a grown-up to help you. I'm so sorry, sir, but yes, really, that is the rules. That's who we are here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ. Sorry, everyone. In this spa, you get the very best in stinky hippo treatment. Yes, that's right. You can sit in all the steamy stink lines direct from the hippos themselves. It's the only place you can do that at the strength that they are, and it will do wonders for your skin. Absolutely wonders. You will not be recognisable when you leave, probably because you'll also have been very sick. It will really make you sick a lot. So what is it? Yes, for the last time. Any questions are welcome, but I'm not going to say this again. You will need a grown-up to help you, even if you are, as you say, very, very old. Very, very old. Sorry, very, very old. Right. And how old is that exactly? What, 100? How dare you? Get out! Get out! No 100-year-olds are allowed on the premises. I don't care how rich you are. Oh, for goodness sake. Please leave us a nice review on ChipAdvisoring. Oh, this hotel business is tricky, isn't it? Maybe I'll just stick to podcasting. Bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids Presents. nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.